cause you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
What up, fam? Welcome back. It's a brand new episode of this week's Barbershop Sports Talk podcast. We are streaming live on our Twitter handle, Facebook page, YouTube channel, on Instagram, and on Twitch. It's your boy Trey Frazier, and it's your boy Maestro Styles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. You good? You good?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. You see me, baby.
Oh yeah, I see you, bro. You see me. I'm,
Yes.
living through a roller coaster this past week.
Yeah, man. It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure. But how was the week though?
Week is good, man. I know I've been doing terrible with this promotion on the music side, but I did put out a beat tape on Bandcamp today. Don't worry, I'm good. Follow me on IG. You can see me at that handle down there. I'm kind of doing like a little soft release. I'm gonna eventually put it on DSPs and all that, but I'm trying to raise revenue for the next project. So see me on Bandcamp, Maestro Styles, or follow me on IG at Maestro Styles. Click the link. The link will take you straight to the beat tape. Download a quick little $10. Support the movement. Support the hobby, I guess. The support my thing. Support my art.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we got that
man
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be putting out some promos soon.
No doubt.
So I'm gonna leave it on Bandcamp for a couple of weeks, and then I put it on DSPs. So.
Yep. That's what's up, man. Keep grinding.
Yeah.
Keep grinding, man. Hey, this is just gonna be simple tonight, man.
Yes, sir.
I got really nothing football related to talk about. You see the background, you see the hat. I've just been locked in on my team this week in this series. We'll talk about the Western Conference also. It's pretty much hoops for me this week, man.
Might not even be an hour.
Probably not. And 8 o'clock come, that's when the game starts. So, critical game for tonight, for the Knicks versus the Pacers. I'll let you kind of kick it off real quick. Just your thoughts on, what you've seen throughout this series, going back to game one, all the way up until, the last game 3.
I wasn't expecting you to throw it to me because it's your team, but I'll say this, because I leave you the floor to kind of get your shit off. But, I mean, for me, man, look, man, y'all got humbled, man. And I immediately went, shout out to Tiffany Sports and Hill. She was on in the DMs almost immediately after.
I didn't even know she was in the DM till like, I don't know, 24 hours later, bro. Like, yeah,
almost as soon as I woke up, damn it feels like, I don't know, but she was in there, like where y'all at? Look, I'll say this: I stand in Knicks. As of right now, game. Obviously, game 4 is going to say a lot, but as of right now, I stand on Knicks in 6. I'll say that. Let me be clear on that. But this is hey, Halliburton showed up, and he showed up. This is what I'll say. I guess the overall view of the games. Pacers is playing ball, man. They playing ball, man. I know y'all got the win the last game, but to watch TJ O'Connell have the kind of game he had in that first half was very telling for me. I feel like the Knicks felt like this was going to be a walk in the park. That's what I feel like.
You mean as far as a team or
as far
fan base?
Maybe both of you. I can't fathom
Because I said Knicks in 6. I mean, we said it last week.
Yeah, but okay. Let's address it this way then. Knicks is so Knicks in 6. A gentleman sweep that's an easy series. You would consider that to be an easy series, I guess.
Gentleman sweep is 4-1.
That's
it's
light
4-1.
work. What I'm saying, you would consider that series. Whoever won that series in the gentleman sweep, they made light work of the opposition.
Yes.
A sweep and a gentleman sweep. That's we got them up out of there. Like that was easy work type thing.
You get them up out of there. Now sometimes there is context, right?
Sure.
And sometimes when you look at games, like for example, like I'll give you a good example. When you look at how that Memphis OKC series started in that game 1 where the Grizzlies put up 36 points in the first half of that game and OKC was up by like 30. And then you go to the second half and they make that lead 40 points, 45, and get to 50 points at a certain length. Sometimes it's about how it looks. You know what I'm saying? And getting the team up out of there, a game like that certainly feels more like it means more when you get a team up out of there like that. When you blow them out by 30, 40, 50 points, right? In this series in particular, game 1, crazy ending. Nesmith did something crazy that nobody's like ever done. Not even the great Steph Curry's done that. 6 3-pointers in a row like that. And the way he, the way some of his shots was released and the way he kind of flailed his legs on a couple of them joints. And then you got the ball off the back iron, right through the hoop. Like that's just, it was almost as if the ghost of Irsay was in the building that day. And rest in peace to the Colts owner, Jim Irsay.
For sure.
That news happened just as that game 1 was about to tip off. So that was crazy. 3-point game. Pacers win by 3 in game 1. Game 2, which you would expect the Knicks to bounce back off of that. Pacers win by 5. And then in game 3, with the slight adjustment, Mitch gets the starting lineup next to Cat. Hart comes off the bench. Hart still plays 35 minutes. And it's a 6-point Knicks win. So these games are close. These two teams are closer than I think people expected it to be. I don't think people saw the Knicks losing the first 2 at home. So I think I think people's outlook on the series is different because of that. But I think at this point, and I shouted you out on Twitter the other day, and I said, look, I'm not worried. This Knicks team on the road in these playoffs is just something different. It's just something different about them when they play away from the guard.
Yeah, I hear you. But the thing is that, and I know you're breaking up. So once you come back on to the once your shit get back together, we'd be straight. But the thing for me is that at the end, like game 1, like all the air went out the building. All the air went out the building. You there? No, you're not there.
Nope, I'm back.
All right. Yeah, I was saying all the air went out the building. Like let's be clear. Game 1, they Dipset was on, and all the New York anthems was on, and to where. And then it got to the point where the New York
up by 14 with but 3 minutes left.
But then by game 4 or game 3, I'm sorry, the New York songs changed. It went from some of the most glorious this is New York City like I don't remember exactly what songs was playing in the commercials to game 3 where they're playing "Dig a Hole" by Jay-Z. Like what I'm saying, like when the Knicks are down, you know what I'm saying? So
Well, that's just TNT just kind of taking a shot.
But sure, of course they are. But
Yeah.
it's symbolic into how people thought the series was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
To how it looks at that point of that commercial, right? Like nobody thought that the Pacers had a shot.
Right.
Maybe Indiana Pacers fans did. Maybe there's people over there saying, "Yo, we can."
Yeah, because people are saying, like, people that don't have like a stake in the series. I'm seeing people on Twitter say, "Well, have y'all not watched the Pacers all season long?" Like, but it's not that. It's not that.
But I'm sorry, Trey. Niggas gotta keep it real though. Niggas gotta keep it real.
No, I'm with you. I agree with you.
I ain't seen none of it. I ain't seen nobody saying, "Yo, the Pacers is going to beat the Knicks."
Well, no, I'll take it a step further. Nobody said the Pacers was a championship or even a finals contender. So sure,
yeah, me and sure.
So sure, I can. But I'm saying, even if you've watched the Pacers, as some people claim they've done throughout the regular season, you wasn't thinking in your mind that team was a finals contender. Like, nobody thought that.
Even if that was the, let's say, even if that wasn't the angle you was going, even if you wasn't going on who's the better team angle, the other angle was clearly, don't nobody want to see, the NBA is not going to allow a small market team like the Pacers be in the finals. So all the way around, nobody,
especially what's on the other side.
Exactly. Nobody. And when I say nobody, obviously somebody in the world, sure. But the general consensus, I ain't seen it nowhere. And I don't pretend to be the most looking his ass person, but I ain't seen nobody talking about the Indiana Pacers was going to beat the New York Knicks. The most I've seen is the sentiments of Tiffany, who was on the show last week, saying, hey, don't sleep on us. And she's a Pacers fan.
And she's not even that confident.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
She's a Pacers fan. So I get it. All the sports folks. Look, I got crow to eat in this episode too. You know what I'm saying? But let's not sit here and pretend like going into this series, we had like the energy was there. New York had all the momentum, had all the energy, had all the media. Like, nobody thought that this team in the Indiana Pacers was going to give them this much competition this early. I've seen sweep, I've seen gentleman sweep, and I've rarely seen Pacers in 7. I've seen
more Knicks in 6, Knicks in 7. I've seen more of that.
I've seen
given respect to the Pacers. I've seen more of that.
Right.
Than I've seen it a sweep, a gentleman sweep. I've seen a little bit of Pacers in 6, Pacers in 7. I've seen a little bit of that, but don't tell me that you thought that watching the Pacers, even if you've watched them from game 1 to game 82, that you thought that they was a finals contender, because nobody thought that they was a finals contender. So,
and if you did, good for you, but I don't believe you. And I gotta see the conversations before now.
Right.
So look, I guess my overarching opinion is, shout out to the Pacers. They playing their ass off. They went into the Garden and look, and I don't care about their home record. I get that it's not a good home record in the Knicks. I get it. I don't care. This should not have happened the way it happened if this is a finals team. Now, again, I still got them winning. I ain't changed my prediction. It's only them and the Pacers left in the East, so I gotta pick one. But like, man, it makes me feel like get well soon, Jason Tatum, that it might have been different if Jason Tatum had been healthy. It makes me feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like. And look, for sake of history,
and to that, because I hear a lot of that with the Tatum stuff. I hear a lot of that, but let's be clear, we were winning that game 4
absolutely.
before he suffered that injury and
Hey,
about to go up 3-1.
All I'm saying is it makes me wonder. Don't mean they would have left out of that game. 3-1.
Sure, of course.
So,
but you talk about momentum.
Sure,
And the Knicks certainly had that.
I'm saying that the Celtics are a championship team.
Right.
That didn't have their best player in the time it mattered most. That's fair to say. So if he was there, it makes me wonder, based on these past 3 games, how that would have played out if he was healthy. I'm not saying they would have won. I'm not saying they would have lost. I'm just saying it makes me wonder. Sure. Going back to the Pacers, I mean, didn't y'all lose to the Pacers last year?
We did. It's funny how people want to move the goalposts. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people want to move the goalposts. First, it's the Knicks. They kept losing bodies as that series went along, and now that we're in this situation now people want to bring up, oh well, you got beat by the Pacers last year. We don't care about the injuries. Now wait, but you said something about the injuries a year ago. Now, like, it don't matter now. And sure, the Pacers, and I've talked about it, the Pacers improved. They have improved from last year to this year. You can see it. You can see they don't make the mistakes that they did in the Boston series last year. You can see Halliburton. He's making good decisions. He's coming through in the clutch. Those other guys, Rick Carlisle,
Yeah, I heard somewhere he got an assist to turnover ratio of 5-1.
Right. So, all the improvements are there with the Pacers, but also let's understand something here. The Knicks have also improved. Not only that, but for the first time in a while, they are coming into this postseason in the series 100% fully healthy. So the only thing that surprises me through 3 games is the first 2 games and how the first 2 games ended, particularly game 1, because game 1 was a miracle worker for the Pacers. Game 2,
okay, sure.
Come on, man. Come on, man. And I'm just talking about the shot. I'm talking about the Halliburton shot that bounces off the back iron, goes straight up. It leaves your TV screen shot, and then it drops down like that. Like that. Come on, man. That's not how they draw it up.
Yeah, but
and yes, you want to.
Their defense has to come into question. Their defense
absolutely
has to come into question.
Absolutely. Like when Nembhard, and look, not Nembhard, I keep calling him Nembhard.
Nesmith.
Sure. At some point, when he knocks that 3rd one in a row, it's time for the coach to be like, all right, y'all, let's stop playing around. Like, we get it. He's not as big of a threat, but he just knocked down 3 in a row.
And that man shoot like 57%
in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think, but regular season, that's not his average.
Well, he's still a pretty good 3-point shooter in the regular season. I think he was still like 49 or something. Like, he was almost 50%. I felt like in the regular season or something crazy. Yeah. I might be going off the deep end, but I know his percentage is pretty high, like tops in the league.
Yeah, in the previous series against Cleveland, he was like 30-something%. And then I think in the series against Milwaukee, he might have been maybe between 35 and 40, which, ain't bad or nothing like that. But again, the dude went off for 6 threes in a row. You know what I'm saying? After that 3rd 3, you got to start rolling some kind of coverage toward his way. And also, if you're the offense for the Knicks, I mean, can we just slow the clock down? Because I felt like, too, I want to get this across, too, because, we're talking about different styles and different paces of the game both these 2 teams come together with in the series. Pacers like to run up and down. We get that. Knicks like to play more half-court offense. And I felt like they was running with them. Like, the Knicks was, like, running a little bit of a faster pace of an offense. But then they forgot who they were, like in them final moments. They forgot who they were. They kept trying to run the pace, bad shots, bad 3-point shots, terrible execution down the stretch, terrible passes.
And yeah, like that game, that was game 2 when Brunson shot it with 10 seconds left and left all that time on the clock before he took the final shot. Yeah, like it's a whole gang. It was a whole gang of mistakes the Knicks had. But the problem is for me with the Knicks is you or I guess we thought that the Knicks would be a little bit more prepared for this than they really were. And I guess at the end of the day, you can't really like. I look at the Pacers different, and you know me, I haven't been high on the Pacers in the regular season, and certainly not in the playoffs.
And not a lot of people have.
I think we have to respect. Look, they don't have a star yet, and I'm standing on that.
Yep.
I stand up. Tyrese Halliburton is like that. He is on his way, if not already, to being that top A point guard. But I still think he needs a guy.
For sure.
I stand on that. I stand on that. I don't know that he's going to be
get him a wing. Get him a wing
I
that
stand
can
on that.
Yeah,
that
sure.
can take over. I mean, a lot like what Siakam did in game 2, like something of that ilk. I mean, hell,
that's a good example. That's a good example.
Like that works. That I think that's where Halliburton is going to be his best self, in my personal opinion. But I mean, but this Pacers team is definitely ain't no slouch. I can't look at them like you know, if they're a 3 and you know whoever they're playing a 6, I'm not gonna sleep on them and be like what a 6 could get them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's kind of how I was treating them, like, you know, in prior years. Like I don't know if I'm gonna go that route no more with the Pacers. I think the Pacers in these past 2 years have proven that they got enough team chemistry, enough experience to be considered. I mean, at this stage of the game, Boston, New York, Indiana.
We'll see what Cleveland does. You know, we'll see how that situation.
Indiana is for certain. If you don't have them now, they are certainly a top 4 team in the league, and I would argue maybe a top 3. And depending on how this series go, I would maybe say top 2.
Yeah, I mean, I said it maybe a year ago that if you gave that team some time, they could eventually be a title contender. I just didn't think it would be this early. I thought it would take a couple more years for them.
And let me be clear. A lot of this is contingent on just how they've played. This series in particular.
Who they played, I think, matters also, and rightfully so. People pointed out the injuries to Milwaukee the past couple of playoff seasons. Cleveland, I just think Cleveland just wasn't ready. And I just think, and yes, they did have 3 of their guys out in that first game in the series.
First 2,
but that second game, they had no business blowing that one. That second game. So Cleveland just.
So it's clearly got to be. My thing is that it's clearly got to be something about the Pacers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, if they get out, if they go to the finals, I definitely put them number 2 in the East. That's my power ranking right now. They're number 2 in the East. If they lose, they're still number 3 to me right now over Cleveland, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, and kind of going back to your point about the small market thing, because I thought about it too, and I didn't really, in as much Knicks podcasts as I've been on these past couple of weeks, I didn't really think about the whole big market thing. But I gotta be honest with you, David Stern, that was David Stern's thing when he was commissioner. The whole you got to have a big market in the finals. He ain't coming out the casket to save the Knicks.
God bless.
Yeah, God bless. But he's not saving the Knicks.
So you feel like Adam Silver? I mean, because what's your example? The Phoenix and Milwaukee finals.
Phoenix, Milwaukee, Denver, Miami was kind of.
I mean, Denver. I guess Denver is a small market, but
I'm just talking about. But I'm just more so talking about like the 2 teams that are there that you normally like, and even like the star power for that matter, and maybe the star power also too.
Because I don't know if David Stern was so we gotta have big market You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Lakers.
Yeah, sure.
Lakers
I mean,
was in there heavy.
it's funny. I was listening. I was looking at I guess who won the finals. It was a breakdown on IG somewhere, and the
Yep.
Lakers hadn't been the Lakers didn't make the finals at all in the 90s.
No.
Yeah,
No.
like I
Well,
mean,
91. 91. They didn't
91.
win it.
Okay,
They
didn't
didn't
win
win
it.
it.
Right.
But that was Magic's, I think, was his last year, second to last year, that year that the
Against
Bulls got their first
against
title.
that was the Lakers.
That was the Lakers.
Okay.
Jordan's first title was against
The
the
first
Lakers.
title was against the Lakers. Okay, and
Yep.
then so
and that was it. And that was it
until Kobe
2000.
and Shaq.
Until
Yeah.
2000. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and then I guess the 3 years after that, or 2 years after 2000, and that was so 2000, because then Gasol and Kobe and
Right.
But the point is, I guess the point I'm trying
And
to
the
drive
Bulls.
home is,
And if you're talking 90s, Bulls,
yeah, the Bulls,
big market,
Chicago,
Jordan. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I don't know, but that's Jordan though. Like I hear you.
Sure.
I hear you, but that's
Sure.
Jordan. I think I won't go as far as to say if Jordan played in Milwaukee, they would have 6 rings. But I will go as far as to say that that's Jordan. I don't know how many teams Jordan couldn't be on, and he wouldn't have been in a number of championships.
And let's be clear, the bigger markets then did have the stars too. Like if you go 90s and 2000s,
right.
The bigger markets did have the stars. Whereas
nowadays they're starting to allow stars are showing their faces in Milwaukee and Denver and Oklahoma City for that matter.
Right. Yeah, Phoenix, like you said, Phoenix made the finals. That year. Toronto, Toronto made the finals, but it was against the Warriors, and the Warriors
are one of those.
Yeah, the Warriors are one of those teams, like Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, like Knicks, like.
And we're talking about Warriors recently.
Chicago.
Let's keep that a buck too. We're talking about the Warriors recently.
No, sure.
Yeah,
but I think Adam Silver's league, I think, is more, and this has to do with the CBA. Like this has to do with the way the apron is, and I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out, where the money is, allocated to certain players and, all that stuff. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But I think a part of that is why we're in this era of no dynasties right now. It's like I said, this is the 7th year where we're going to get a different champion. So
yeah,
I think a lot of that is, the money. It's the CBA, but it's what Adam Silver has sort of structured in today's NBA.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's I don't know that it's definitely like, we focusing on a small market as opposed to, like you said, small markets just not getting stars that can, turn the corner. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's more of that than David Stern having to think about small markets going to the finals. Let me say it feels that way.
Yeah.
But here we are nowadays, and I guess well, let me ask you before we go to the other series.
Yep.
How do you feel about tonight? I mean, obviously you need the win. So I mean, I guess
I feel great. I feel great about tonight. I feel great. Just kind of going back to game 3 and how that kind of played out. Like I said, in the fan base, myself included, we've been calling for the double big lineup. Cat, Mitch in the front.
How did you feel? You felt like that was super effective?
I didn't feel like it was super effective against this particular team. And I think, because again, we've been calling for it even before the playoffs started.
Yeah.
We've been calling for it. So I think if we'd have did this against Boston, I think it would have looked a lot more effective. Against Detroit, I think it would have looked a lot more effective. I think against a Pacer team that plays 10 guys and runs up and down the floor, it's a different look. It's definitely something that watching game 3, we really didn't get to see it really become effective. But a lot of people are going to give the coach the credit here. I'll give him slight credit just because I think he accidentally walked into a situation where Jalen Brunson had 4 fouls before the half. Cat had 3 fouls before the half. Deuce had 3 fouls. I mean, he picked up 3 quick ones in like the first quarter, I think. So he had no choice but to go Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright, 2 guys that have really not gotten burned at all in these playoffs. Got those guys, 10, 12 minutes. And those 10, 12 minutes by those guys were very effective on the defensive side because, with Brunson on the bench, defense played better. When Cat's out there, he could do his thing. He could take over. When Brunson's out there and, Cat's on the bench, Brunson could kind of do his thing. So
I have been hearing a lot of this team has been more effective because Brunson is a ball hog. I've been hearing a lot of that conversation because he commands so much of the ball, and obviously for obvious reasons he deserves to have the ball. But I did hear a lot of these conversations where they're saying, "Damn, the ball moves so much better and we're so much more efficient when he has to sit down." So I just want to throw that out there. I have heard those conversations. I mean, obviously, ain't really nothing you could do about it. We're talking about your best player. And he's your best player, and that's what it is. But I have definitely heard the conversations about, man, have you see how well the ball is moving, how much more efficient this offense is when he isn't on the floor?
Yeah.
So just
that's understandable though.
I'm not saying they should keep him on the floor more. I'm just throwing it out there. So I don't feel like we ain't covering all the things that was said or that I heard. You know what I'm saying?
I try to tell some people, look. That's how it's going to be. I mean, Brunson is not a good defender. Deuce can defend. Landry Shamet can defend. DeLon Wright, he can defend. And DeLon Wright is smart enough where he can bring the ball up the floor. He can run the offense. That ball's going to, when you got those guys bringing the ball up, then you're going to get ball movement in the offense. That's just how it's going to go. That's how it's set up. It should be no surprise to anybody. But to just sit there and say, hey, this team is better without Brunson, y'all got to cut it out.
Y'all got to cut it out. Nobody believes that. Let's be clear. Nobody.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I feel great. I feel great about tonight because I think Game 3 opened up an avenue to where he can play 9 guys in this series now. Legit. He can legit
He
play.
Won't, though.
9 guys. You don't think so? Because I've heard a lot of the fan base kind of be we'll see because Tibbs is stubborn and blah blah blah.
That's what I think too. I think if you get into a foul situation like you did in Game 3, sure, then you ain't got no choice. But I think if everybody is good as far as this the foul situation and all that, I think he goes back to his normal what he do.
I tell you what. If he does that and they lose tonight, it's going to be some serious conversations about the future head coach of this team.
Really, you think so?
I said conversations. I didn't say he should be fired. Right. I didn't say he should be fired. I'm saying there's going to be conversations about
any conversation that you would be willing to have on this platform.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course I would.
I mean,
if it ends badly for us in this round, hell yeah.
You would be willing to have a legitimate conversation about is Tibbs the best coach for this team if y'all lose this series?
To win a championship, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because remember what the goal is.
Yeah.
The goal is championship.
Yeah, I mean, and right now is the prime time. The East is wide open. All the things. I don't disagree. I just wouldn't. I didn't expect for you to be so open to have that conversation. I mean, look, because really, I mean, who do you replace him with, man? What are you doing? This guy is the guy. This guy is the guy responsible for you even being, and not solely responsible, but certainly responsible for being in this conversation. And it's his philosophy that allows you to be here. Obviously, you bringing in the right players and all the things, but
absolutely,
you got quality bench players on this team that you are not playing. DeLon Wright deserves minutes on a team.
Yes. And let's not forget, Jalen Brunson didn't take that bag.
Yeah.
That, he could have got this offseason. But at this stage,
what else do you... I mean, look, yes,
that's important.
Bring it, that's important. Yeah, sure. But what else could you really add to this team that you felt like you got to have?
Right now, it would just be improvement of the bench, I would say.
That you don't really use. You know what I'm saying? And
it circles back to how Tibbs, and yes, we've seen the tendencies. We've seen them in Chicago. We've seen them in Minnesota. So, yes, this is what you expect. And, yes, he's great at coming into a team, bringing them from the mud, being competitive, perennial playoff contender. He's great at that. Like, he's got a track record of doing that. Yep. The only thing he don't have is that ring, man. That's the only thing. And if his style of coaching, when it gets later and deeper into these playoffs, is an issue, then you got to have conversations about that. I mean, I mentioned this on and shout out to BK Steph. I mentioned this on her show the other day. I said, look, Toronto went so far with Dwayne Casey and DeMar DeRozan. They went just as far as they could.
Yeah.
They got Nick Nurse. I had no idea who the hell Nick Nurse was.
Yeah.
And yes, they got Kawhi Leonard. That's an important piece.
That's a very important piece.
That's an important piece.
Very important piece.
But they got Nick Nurse. Who in the hell was Nick Nurse at that time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't necessarily go the route of, well, who's out there, who we're gonna get. Look, there's coaches out there that they can get. There's some deserving people like Sam Cassell deserves a shot. Like he's been assistant coaching for way too long in my book. I mean, he deserves a chance. But I don't want to go there. It's not time for off-season talk. We're in the middle of a playoff run. I feel great. I feel great about tonight because I think what we saw in Game 3. I think he has to get those guys the minutes he gave them yesterday without the whole, because guys are in foul trouble, I'm just going to extend the bench. No, extend the bench because you know that those guys can put not necessarily clamps on the Pacers, but they could defend them a lot better than our starting five has. So,
I think more than that, and I think more than that, you need rest.
Yeah,
starters need rest. I think that's
absolutely.
So we got to get into the title of the show because we don't plan on being here much longer. I am willing to concede that I was wrong about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now let me be clear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the T-Wolves are out of this yet. I don't think the series is over. But
you think a 6 game gonna happen? You think a 6 game's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. I hope so, just for the sake of more basketball.
Yeah, I do. But SGA, you won't hear no more. I don't know if they for real for me. You won't hear no more of that from me. These guys are a championship caliber team. I'll just go ahead and say it. If they get out of this series, which I think they will, I think they're going to win it all. The Thunder. I think the Thunder are going to win the championship, whether they play the Pacers or the Knicks. SGA for president. Congratulations on the MVP. If we didn't say it last year,
congrats. Congrats on the MVP.
He's the real deal. Jalen Williams is spotty as he can be. When he's on, he's on. Chet Holmgren is everything that I thought he would be. Like just a solid rim protector, shooter. Like he does everything you need him to do.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like no disrespect, but like a poor man's Wembanyama kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to be the guy to take over the league.
It's funny because they've talked about those two guys having battles for years to come. So
it's
funny you bring his name up.
Yeah. So I don't think he's as good as Wembanyama, but I think he's efficient. He's good. Like he's on the right team where he don't have to be the star. He just like
he's a part of that core.
he's a
Like
part
when
of
I
that
think
core.
when I think of OKC's core, it's Chet, SGA, and Jalen Williams.
Right, and via the commercial they show every other commercial break
Right,
with
right.
where they send with the same outfit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Sam Presti gonna have to figure that money out when it's time to to get that together, because you want to keep them together.
Facts.
So yeah, but I do think that I do, if the Thunder get out of it, and I think they get out of it, I think they win the finals. But to the T Wolves,
Mm-hmm.
when we talked about this series, we talked about this kind of being the wearing of the crown. Like whoever gets out of this series should kind of be a shoe-in for who's the top dog of the league per se.
Mm-hmm.
And Ant-Man, I guess, he's been a killer of the old teams, like what he did with the Lakers, and he did it with the last playoff run when he did it. He beat the
knocked
run
off the Joker, knocked off KD.
Thank you.
And those guys,
Right.
And
So
the Warriors to a certain extent, even though Steph wasn't there, but
he was on that trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
just because of how he played in the playoffs last year. And I thought that going into this series, and maybe you agree with me, I don't necessarily remember, but that I certainly felt like this would kind of be whoever got out of this series would kind of be the guy. Like that's he'd be in the lead of being crowned that guy.
Yep.
And SGA, fresh off the MVP, coming out of this past game, scoring 40 while Ant-Man only scored 16 is telling.
I don't like talking about Ant-Man. Like,
okay, I'm sure you're saying something.
Win.
No, you had to start that all over. You got to start that all over again. You got to start that all over again, bro.
Yep, my fault. I was rambling, but I was just saying, when you're the star, you're the consistent person to get the 30 points when the team needs it. When I look at the rest of the roster, Julius Randle, and he's had a couple good games in this series, but last night was not a good showing for him. Shout out to that kid Terrence Shannon Jr. off the bench. He was
who got him that game 3.
Yep. Played well game 3. I thought he played well last night.
Yeah.
The Dante DiVincenzo dropped 20. Nickeil Alexander-Walker dropped 20. Like the role players
did
their jobs. They did their jobs.
Even Gobert did his job. Did his job.
Right. But when you win a game like that, and look, I think last night's game, I think you could just chalk it up to every time the Wolves had that one score deficit, OKC had an answer. Every time they inched closer, OKC had a response for it, whether it was Shea dropping, jumpers, whether it was Jalen Williams with the 3-point shots, whether it was Chet, with a couple 3-point shots. They answered every Wolves run that they had in them, from that third to the fourth quarter. So I think it's more so props to OKC just in the case of the game 4 result. But Ant-Man individually, when you got 16 points in a game that you need at home, that's just not a good look.
And the game goes off, I fall asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night with ESPN still on, and they're talking to somebody. I forget who the beat writer's name is, but they was talking about how that beat writer spoke to Anthony Edwards. At the locker, in the locker room, and they asked him how he felt about the game, and he said, Anthony Edwards said, I'm paraphrasing, he felt okay about it because he felt like he was he followed the game plan that was set, like he did everything he was asked to do. And I said it must have been God that woke me up to hear that, because if the game plan, if you notice, Anthony Edwards he was real passive in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was driving, then he was kicking, and then
Right.
even in the second half he got a little bit more aggressive and went to the rack a couple of more times, but still he was doing a whole bunch of driving and kicking to the side and
more facilitator. Like he was,
right,
it was as if he was playing a more facilitator role.
So for me to hear what he said, and obviously I would have loved to hear what the coach had to say, like, how is it your game plan to turn Anthony Edwards, one of the premier scorers in this league, and ask him to be a facilitator? Yeah. And if that was what you asked him to do when you lost the game, you can't. You clearly you have to understand the optics of you being the star on your team and SGA being the star on his team, while he's scoring 40 points a game and then you scoring 16 in a loss. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a terrible. It was, if that's the game plan, if that was the game plan,
and a 3-point loss at that.
Like it's just like, bruh, like Anthony Edwards is not, like, I'm sure he's capable of facilitating. We saw him do it this past game,
right?
But he's not a facilitator, bruh. Like, why would you, like, did you not think he was going to be able to, like, let's be clear, one or two things are going to happen in most cases when Anthony Edwards go to the rack. He getting two or he going to the line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why would you not let him do what he do, get these folks in foul trouble, the SGAs, the Jalen Williams, the Lou Dorts, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, more so the bigs, because the bigs is what's really, like, but
the Chet Holmgrens, but even the Lou Dorts, because Lou going with him to the rack, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and Hartenstein had, like, what, 17 minutes in the game. Like, Hartenstein didn't play that much, which is crazy to me.
For me, it was a terrible strategy, if that's the strategy that they asked him to execute. Yeah, that was a terrible strategy. But it makes me, I believe him based on his facial expression as he was walking out to the locker room. It was like, bro, like he felt like he played a good game, and I'm not saying he didn't play a good game. He had I don't know his assist line, but I gotta assume it was over 5 assists. I'm sure he had over 5 rebounds. So it's like, like, I'm sure you played a efficient game, but bro, that's not what we want from our star, bro. That's not what we want from our star player. When say what you want, it's a head to head. It's an SGA versus Ant-Man, bro.
I'm glad that Ant-Man has that facilitator in his repertoire. I'm glad he has that. But
absolutely.
In that moment, I didn't. But the first half, though, I think that's where, for me, he needed to be more aggressive in that first half, because he didn't shoot the ball all that much.
He shot it 3 times.
Right. Like 3 times in the first half, that's just not going to cut it for me. So
but the whole game, bro. Like, he was not looking for his shot for whatever. Like I said, for whatever reason, he says because the game plan they asked him to execute. And I'm gonna tell you, somebody need to be having if it's Chris Finch that need to be talked to, or somebody need to be talked to. If you told him in a game 4, hey, bro, I'm gonna need you to get the rest of your players involved, and that's how we're gonna win this game 4. I'm glad that DiVincenzo got going, because he was struggling in this series.
I was gonna say, because as far as the game plan is concerned, and I hear what you're saying. I think if they'd have won this game, obviously we don't talk about things we've talked about. Obviously. But I'm not upset with the game plan, because this game looked different than the first 3 games for them. Yeah. If you know what I mean. They got blown out in games 1 and game 2.
They blew them out in game 3, and
they
then
blew them out. But I think that said more about OKC in game 3 than it did the Wolves.
I agree.
So I'm not upset at the game plan, because you did see something different with this team against OKC this time around in the series. I just think that he just needed to be more aggressive, along with the playmaking ability that he was doing. It was great to see those other 3 guys get 20 plus points. Like, You get role players. You get 3 guys that's not the star to score 20.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
would
game.
think
That's
you
a
would
good
win
game.
the right. You would think
Sure.
they're gonna win the game. I just think it's a combination of
But it's
the
very
game.
clear what was happening, though. It was very clear that SGA was looking to take over the
Yes.
game,
Yeah.
and Anthony Edwards was looking to get other people to win it for him.
They saw the Wolves coming, and they said, "You know what? We're not going to let them in." Yes. It was clear what was happening.
So if you're telling me, and I get that it's a close game, maybe the closest game they outside of the blowout, maybe the closest game that they had, as far as winning.
Yeah.
But
Defensive stop. Get a defensive stop. Like, I mean, we could talk defense.
Let's be clear. Nobody was getting stops. Like,
sure.
I guess. Well, let me say that back. The Thunder got the stops when they needed it the most.
Exactly.
They got it when they needed the most. Yeah. But I mean, it was a 124, 126 game. Like, it wasn't like it was like that's a high scoring game. So it's
a high scoring game for sure. It was just the Wolves needed maybe a couple of stops.
Yeah.
They needed a couple stops to maybe get over the hump there.
Yeah, but for me, but it wasn't like it was Anthony. Like I don't remember who went to the rack with like less than 10 and Chet blocked it. But it wasn't Anthony Edwards.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And that's the problem. But that's the problem.
Sure.
It should have been Anthony Edwards.
Because the ref probably 9 times out of 10 calls the foul there.
I mean, and to be honest, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember who the player was that that went to the rack.
I don't remember either.
But I know that Anthony Edwards is the best driver on the team.
Yeah,
he's the best finisher on the team. Why does the other guy? Why does he? Whoever it was, why do you even have the ball?
Sure.
Why do you even have the ball?
Ant-Man gets blocked, even if Ant-Man gets blocked at the rim, the ref's more likely going to give him that. They're going to send him to the line most likely.
It's the reason why he's the star in Terrence and SGA cousin and all those. Yeah. That's why they're not the stars. Respectfully.
Yeah.
The ball should have been in Ant-Man's hands. As far as I'm concerned, bring it up. Bring the ball up. Don't even bring it. Get out the way unless you set the pick. It should have been. I hope they don't lose the series that way. If you're going to lose the series,
I have a feeling it's over tomorrow. Sure. But I want it to go. I want the Wolves to win tomorrow night. But I just have a feeling OKC's going to finish them up.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah,
it's fair. Well, I guess we can be quick about it. If we didn't say it, welcome back, John Halliburton. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I give a quick shout out because the homie right here, Amara's Logic, we had him on.
What up?
A few weeks ago talking Milwaukee Bucks and stuff like that. So quick.
Too much scoring and athleticism for the T-Wolves. On face value, I see that. On face value, I see that. I just feel like you Ant-Man is the guy. You die by your guy, and I felt like if they put a little bit more dependency on Ant-Man, I think Ant-Man if you lose with Ant-Man putting the ball in his hands that way, I think that's a better loss than having him facilitating, kicking it to DiVincenzo, and he hitting side threes and leaving it up to whoever SGA's cousin is driving to the rack. You know what I'm saying? Put it in your best player's hand when it's time to put it in your best player's hand. Because that's why, you blessed to have Indiana would kill for an Ant-Man right now. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying?
Sure.
You got that caliber of a player for a reason. Let him do what he do and get out the way. If you lose that way, all right, cool. But that's the way to lose. You don't lose without Ant-Man having the reins to do whatever he want to do.
I think there's a lot of things you can say about the ending of that game. But I think if I had to put it in order, it would be and I'm just talking end of the game. Defensive stops. Defensive stops, number one for me. Number two is just being able to get Ant-Man, to the rack, slow the Thunder down, because that's what you also do when you can get Ant-Man to the basket, get the foul, take the shots, slow down the Thunder offense, and then maybe you'll have a chance to be able to, get back in the game and maybe get that 1.2 point lead, in the end there. But
Yeah.
it said a lot more about SGA's ability to just say, "Hey, not today. I know y'all coming, but not today."
And more than that, coach has clearly said, "Hey, this is our MVP.
Yep.
This is our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let him do what he need to do."
Yep. Easier to do it with a lead, too.
Yeah, sure, obviously, but
Yep.
then that means close.
Yep.
That means close, and
right.
Right,
absolutely.
So just like your star player should be able to, put the team on the back to get a comeback victory, your star player should also be able to close a game.
Got to defend. Yeah, got to defend.
Yeah, so yeah.
Now, did I see Ant-Man on SGA?
I don't recall seeing that, but
because see, and that's another thing for me too. Like, if you the star and you down by 2-3 points and you down by a couple scores,
I've seen him guarding way more Jalen Williams than I've seen him guarding SGA.
I'm the star player. I got to guard the other team's best player.
Yeah, I agree.
More consistently. So
yeah, I agree.
It works both ways. Yeah. Well, go ahead. You said.
I mean, quick hitters. Get well. Caitlin Clark quad injury. She out 2 weeks. Get well soon. They freed the bro John Halliburton. He was at the past game.
Why
he
now?
Gonna be back. Hey, don't matter. I told you. I told free the bro, man. I told you. I get it. Oh, it's safety, all the things. I didn't disagree with you when you said it, but I felt like that they shouldn't have sat him down to begin with. Right. But he back. Hey, man. It is what it is. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Lastly, if we didn't say it, which we did, but rest in peace to Jim Irsay, passed away at 65.
Young man.
Young as hell. I heard like a daughter or something is gonna get the team.
Okay, yeah, you might be right. I didn't hear anything about it. And again, when the news broke, game 1 was getting ready to pop off, so I didn't really have much to really kind of go off of. But I'll say this about Irsay, because he was one of the owners that was calling for the league and calling for the Washington team to release those reports when Washington was going through, their stuff at the time with the emails and, and all that stuff. So I'll just bring that up just in memory of him, just kind of my last things about him that I remember before he, went on.
Thoughts and prayers to his family. May you rest in peace. All those good things. I don't know I forget who the dude is that said he was down for the tush push because he want to get pushed in his tush. You heard about this quarterback?
No. Right. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Say less. In regard to Caitlin Clark, so the Mystics are playing the Fever tomorrow at CFG Bank Arena here in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the games that they circled that they wanted to get I don't know if it's a bigger arena.
Bigger arena. It is.
It is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So, for the folks around here that was looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark, sorry.
Yeah.
You'll just settle for the rest of the Fever team and the Mystics, who, by the way, good start to the season.
Looking pretty good. But I forget who told us that the Mystics was going to look a little better this year, healthy.
Might have been Tarika. I think Tarika.
Yeah, it might have been Tarika.
Yeah. Good start. Good start so far. So, but quick shout out to everybody in the chats. I see Chart 0123 in the IG live chat. Appreciate y'all coming through. Before we get on up out of here, definitely got to tell y'all about some of the stuff we got going here. Look, y'all. I know the weather's been up and down. Feels like hoodie season some days. It feels like t-shirt days some other days. But we got some t-shirts. Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We got some men's t-shirts right here. We got some women's ones also, but we're showcasing this one for now. Scan the QR code. We got all kinds of colors. We got white, black, navy blue, gray. We got this, royal blue one here shown here as well. So make sure y'all go cop a t-shirt. Support the brand. We're doing great on this side. We appreciate all the support from all the fans out there. I said we weren't going to call our supporters fans, but all the supporters that support this show.
Listeners, gang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Continue to watch us on Facebook, also on Twitter, and on the YouTube channel. We're on Twitch as well. Also, if you got questions, comments, just hit us up on the email. barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com is where you can reach us at for questions, comments, or you want to be on the show, things like that. And quick show, man. I'm about to get to this game, man, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro styles, we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.